Making pancakes, making pancakes. Everything organized? Am I ever organized? Nope. Hi guys, and welcome back to Almost a Cinephile. I am Becca and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little haul. It's my first experience ever at a CEX. So a CEX in the UK is a secondhand gaming and physical media store. Usually I've known it more to be about like gaming and games and consoles and things. So basically people sell their games and consoles that they don't want anymore, and CEX takes them and refurbs them or kind of cleans them up, sorts them out, reprices them and puts them on the shop floor. So then obviously people that are looking for more vintage or a cheaper version of a console that maybe they can't afford new, then they can go in there and buy one. I also didn't realise that they had a huge physical media selection. When we went in, I went into the Norwich one, which is a city near where I live. So it's a relatively decently sized store. The bottom floor was all the games. It had Blu-rays and 4Ks in there as well. Obviously I don't have a player for those, so I wasn't interested in looking at those this time around. They had like a whole selection of kids DVDs, and I was trying to hunt for the normal DVDs. I was like, why have they got kids and why is there nothing else? And then I realised there's an upstairs, and upstairs was like an emporium of physical media, especially if you're a DVD collector. There were hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands. So obviously I had to pick a few up. I didn't go too crazy. I think I only got about 5, and in total these cost me £9. One of them was £5, and I'll tell you why maybe that was, but the other ones were all £1 each, so not too bad in terms of costing. Very similar to the secondhand shops I shop at anyway. Usually my best prices for DVDs are around 50p and under. The more expensive ones tend to lean towards £1, £1.50, and then obviously special ones or box sets can be a little bit more, so I try and keep my costs under like £1, but these ones are like the most expensive out of the things I usually get. So the first one I picked up was one of the £1 ones, and it's Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. When this first came out, I feel like it was one of the first ones that really pushed Marvel forward in terms of their cinematic mastery of conveying a story. I have another one, but this doesn't like my DVD player whatsoever. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's not particularly scratched or damaged for some really bizarre reason. Is it scratched or damaged? No, it's relatively a reasonable disc in consideration it's secondhand. But for some reason my DVD player hates this one, so I have had to find a new one. For some reason, I don't know why this is. It's not an overseas edition, and it's not foreign, so I'm not sure why it didn't work. So I got this one, and this one is actually more scratched, annoyingly, than the one I have, but it works. I don't know why. But I really love the old Fantastic Four movies. I feel like they're really nostalgic nowadays, very similar to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. I think these were really, really good and underrated. I know they're obviously remaking it now, but I feel like the character of the Silver Surfer and Galactus coming in was really interesting and exciting, especially as a huge Marvel fan. Galactus was always like one of those really scary characters that could do a lot of damage and was really difficult to defeat, so I was really excited to see him on the screen. Obviously in this one we don't see any of him, it's just the kind of shadow or shape of the character, which is a little bit annoying, but overall it's a really, really good film. So now I have the first one and the second one, and this one works. So we've got a complete Fantastic Four set, which is really good. Another film that I needed to collect because I needed to finish the franchise was Star Wars: Attack of the Clones. The Hayden Christensen Star Wars with Ewan McGregor, the prequels basically, are my favourites. I grew up with these are my absolute favourites. I have just recently actually rewatched Star Wars the original trilogy with Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. I've just finished watching that, and I still feel like it's too old for my understanding. I really, really like number 3. That's my favourite. I know a lot of people prefer 2. 2 is also really good, and actually 1 is really, really good. I don't know what it is. These ones just speak to me so much more. I enjoy these ones. I feel like there's a lot more action. Obviously, they were allowed to push things a lot further with the advancements of technology being like special effects and all that kind of stuff. So, and you've got a little bit more of a backstory to the whole world of Star Wars, and I feel like these are really good still. I don't care what you all say out there. I prefer these to the original trilogy. They just are my jam. They're just my era. That's why I like them that much. So I'm really excited to have this, because the second one has been a really, really difficult one to find. For some really bizarre reason, I've been able to find loads of versions of number one, which is, oh my God, I don't even remember that. See, I say I'm a really big Star Wars fan. I can't even remember the names of the names of the episodes. Number one, Phantom Menace, and number three, Revenge of the Sith. Ha! See, I'm getting there. It's too many things to remember. But Attack of the Clones has been a really tricky one to find, so I'm lucky to have found that one. And the next one is another one in a series. I haven't got number one yet, which is ultimately the best one, but I do have other versions of Predator. I think I've got Predators with Adrian Brody, which I actually really liked. And I also have another one, Predator, or The Predator, which is like a red cover, I'll put it here, with like a predator head and spinal cord, something like that. And I've heard really bad things about that one, but I'm yet to watch it. But I do now have Predator 2. I don't actually mind this one. I think it's still really, really good. Is this a pirate? Why does that say disc 2? No, I hope not. So I don't actually mind this version of Predator. I feel like Predator 2 is really interesting, especially when it takes you into more of a city landscape. I feel like it ramps up the scare and the gore factor, especially from number one, although number one is pretty grim with some of the kills. This one is also like really interesting. The Predator goes after gangs, like really strong gang members, and wipes them out. And then obviously it's up to Danny Glover, the character of the policeman, to basically, or police chief or detective, I can't remember, but it's up to him basically to catch this predator. And you know, he kind of works out that it's not something that's normal going on. Yeah, it's a really, really good version. I know people don't particularly like number two after number one, but actually I don't mind it, so I've got this one now to add to my collection. And then a film that I haven't seen in a really long time but I did used to own is the film Push. This has got, who's it got? Chris Evans and Dakota Fanning. It's also got Camilla Bell. It's basically, I can't put my hands on it. I feel like it's almost like a little bit like a really gritty and grungy version of X-Men. So everybody has their own unique powers and abilities. I know that Chris Evans' character can physically push things, hence why it's called Push. Dakota Fanning can see the future. There's people that can scream and kill you while screaming. It's really interesting and a really cool sci-fi thriller I really enjoy, and I don't think it's ever really talked about. I really love this, and as I said, I think it's like, to me, it feels like a very different version of a Marvel film, so a kind of a much more grown up and edgier version, which I kind of like, and the acting in this is really, really good, so I would definitely give this a go if you've never watched it. And then lastly is the most expensive film on the list, and I gagged when I saw it because there's two films from this collection of films that I really, really want on my shelves, and I've not seen either of them. I have read one of his books to do with the films. This is the one I've read, and there's another one that I haven't read but I've seen the remakes. So this is Stephen King's Needful Things, and that rhymes. This is Needful Things by Stephen King. It's always going to rhyme. And it's basically, the story is that this old guy comes to town and he has a shop and he sells things that people really, really want. And he sells them for a different price that's not money. It's for like tasks or pranks or jobs to do. And the town just ends up falling out with one another because, you know, they're buying things from the shop they've really wanted. So it could be like a baseball card or a lamp that someone really liked or a vase. And he sells them for like almost like favors, and they do his bidding, and it ends up making the town fall apart with one another because they all think that they've been doing things to one another, and it gets out of hand. I've always wanted to see this, and I've not ever actually got the pleasure to watch it, but I have read it and the book was really good, so I'm hoping this is going to be really good as well. This was the most expensive at £5, but another one of Stephen King's films that I really want to own is It, but the Stephen King version, the mini series. I've seen It, the Bill Skarsgård version, as well as It Part 2, and I really liked those, but I really wanted to see the older version and see what the hype was. It was one of those films that was always in like my local Blockbuster, like this really creepy clown played by Tim Curry, and I never ever picked it up because obviously I was like a kid and my mum probably would never have let me have it, but I really wanted to see that one. So now I've got Needful Things, I'm hoping to find It, and then my Stephen King journey. As you can see, I have a few of his books up here and I've read more as well than that, but I really do enjoy Stephen King novels, so I'm hoping to kind of collect some of his movie adaptations as well. So that was everything I found in my CEX. I'm hoping to go back and have a little gander around Christmas time, see if there's anything I could pick up. My birthday's also around that time, so I get to have a little treat potentially and go in there and see if I can find any other things. But those were the ones I found that really interested me or that I wanted to add to my collection. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.